Hey, Coach. It's good to see you and good to talk to you. Um, so many of the conversations that Scott Frost has had with the media in the last 6 or 7 months has been about testing protocols and the COVID-19 pandemic and whether there was going to be a season or whether there wasn't going to be a season. And that's kind of what the head coach talks about. As a coordinator, how is your life maybe a little bit different? Because you don't have to necessarily focus on the testing protocols or be in the Big Ten head coaches meetings. So, how is your life as a coordinator maybe a little bit different? And what have you been focusing on up to this point? And what do you focus on now as you guys go into kind of a fuller training camp?
Yeah, I guess that's probably a long answer, long question, but um, it's been ever changing. Hang on a second, let me shut my phones off here. Sorry about that, guys. It's been kind of an ever changing situation ever since this thing started, and Coach Frost and the other people involved have done a great job in getting a plan for us, getting a process for us. The testing protocol, like you talked about, part of my job is reinforcing those protocols around the bubble, if you will, to make sure that we're doing things the right way so that we don't lose players or coaches. As well as making sure the testing is going smoothly and all those kind of things, and then starting back April or May, it just was Zoom, and it's so much Zoom stuff, and you guys are dealing with it too, but it's Zoom with the kids and trying to keep them involved and trying to keep them focused on scheme and structure of the defense. Obviously, we're not out there with them during that time, but how could we just, there's so much Zoom going on, just how could we keep them engaged in what was going on? And I think our coaches did a tremendous job with that. And then right now, up until they let us put pads on whenever that comes tomorrow or whenever the Big Ten says it's time to go. It's been fundamentals. It's been getting the coverage pieces right, getting the rush lanes fixed, just all the detail stuff that sometimes shouldn't get glossed over, but sometimes do because you're trying to install defense and you're going against the offense and you got so many situational work. But just those fundamentals, the details, trying to make sure everybody's on the same page within the calls, and then when we get to go out and actually run those calls and do it against our offense in pads and have some scrimmage and some game situations, hopefully all that information that we've been giving them will be retained, or at least they'll once they go out and make an error, they'll at least say, oh yeah, you did tell me that one time in those Zooms, and now they'll understand it. So I think just giving them a good baseline is the best thing that we've done right now, and I think the coaches have done a great job.
Uh, Lincoln Journal-Star Steve Sipple, go ahead.
Hi, Coach. Wondering, Deontay mentioned that the energy, you have been emphasizing energy. Why energy in particular? Maybe that's Scott or the coaching staff. Why has that been an emphasis?
No, I just think it's he's right, and I've been chasing guys around a little bit, even in individual drills. It's just that great teams. It's been said since the beginning of time, good teams are kind of led by the coaches. Great teams are led by the players, and some of those guys that have had a lot of experience for us need to take the next step and just give us some great energy, some great leadership. And I want to have fun out there. I want to be demanding. I want to be full speed. I want to get everything we can out of everybody, but I want to have fun too. And football's a fun game, and when you're playing really fast and you know what you're doing, once they let us get pads on and we're hitting people, once that stuff all comes together, that's where the fun comes to me. But we have to feed off each other's energy. And the other piece of it is we haven't been able to stress it to them as much yet, but when we get into the Big Ten season here, we're going to go in Memorial Stadium, and there's going to be, whatever they let us have, 0 to 500 people. I don't even know what the numbers are going to be, but it's going to be kind of, bring your own juice a little bit, bring your own energy.
Yeah.
So we need to get that going now. Our guys are – not just our guys, the whole conference, they're not going to be used to playing in front of an empty stadium. In the Big Ten, especially at Nebraska, whether they're on the road or we're at home, we have the best fans in the country, period. And there's always a lot of juice coming from the stands. There's not going to be, so we're going to have to bring our own a little bit.
Good point. Now, one other question. Is there anything, Eric, in particular you'll want to see from Scott's offense as the season approaches? I mean,
You're talking about
ask him for any. Go ahead.
You're talking about as we're practicing against each other?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I think he's got a great plan, first and foremost, of giving us, since it's an extended kind of period, giving us a lot of different situational work, whether it be third down, whether it be backed up red zone, 2-minute drives, 4-minute drives, all those types of things. He's got those programmed into his calendar already. So he's done a great job just from a team management-wise of situational stuff. And then, there's obviously stuff that scheme-wise that they want to see and we want to see. And I think we've done a good job of helping each other, whether it be, some two-back runs from our offense, helping us for, the Wisconsin and the Iowas, or they want to see a certain pressure or a certain coverage. I think we've done a good job of scripting together and helping each other see the looks that we need to see.
Thank you.
Husker Online, Sean Callahan.
Yeah, Coach, I was curious, when you saw that schedule, when that was released from the Big Ten, what was your reaction, and how do you kind of get your guys ready, knowing the challenge you're going to see really as a defense week one?
Yeah, I mean, I control what I can control. I can't control the schedule. They put it out there. We play football. I want to play football. I didn't care who we played first. I kind of expected, it may be Ohio State. It may be one of our crossover games. It was probably going to be Ohio State, Penn State, or Rutgers. However, the chips fell. It came out as Ohio State and then Wisconsin second. So, we got to get ready and let's go. But it's a great opportunity for us for sure. Our guys are excited. The one thing that they did not want to do was play, a schedule that was not going to have the best teams in it. They want to play the best teams. I want to coach against the best teams. That's why we all came to Nebraska. We didn't come to Nebraska to play a bunch of games that weren't going to matter. We came here just like every kid did to play in the big time football games, and that's what we got right away. So it's an awesome opportunity for us as a defense and as a team.
With that said, are there any advantages of maybe getting a game like Ohio State early, getting that game first, knowing that an opponent, you saw it last week with Oklahoma falling to Kansas State and LSU falling at home to Mississippi State? I mean, there's some advantages to playing a big game like that right out of the gates?
I mean, you could say yes and no. I mean, you can make arguments on both sides. The argument's probably to get them right away is, they don't have a game under their belt, but neither do we. Maybe they're a little rusty. Maybe they got some new guys in new positions, but so do we. And you could probably make an argument that it might be better to get them later in the year. But once again, I just control what I can control. And they said they're going to roll that ball out in Ohio on game one, so we're going to go in there and play football.
Omaha World Herald, Evan Bland.
Hey, Erik, I was just wondering if you could put in perspective how difficult it is to go 10 months without players going in full pads. And then how do you find the balance in the next few weeks as you try to work toward that full contact, but also try to stay fresh for potentially 9 games in 9 weeks?
Yeah, those are all challenges, Evan. And like I said, Coach Frost has got a good schedule for us, and he's talked to me about his plan, and just so we kind of see what he's got planned for us. I think he's got enough situational work. Like you mentioned, the fine line is getting them ready to play a football game and not driving them into the ground. Not having pads on for 10 months, not ideal, but once again, most people are in the same boat. Some people had spring ball early, some people didn't, but most people are in the same boat, so it's not like it's an unfair advantage. The hard part for me, to be honest with you, was not being able to be with the kids and see them face to face, and leadership is a contact sport. Not being able to touch those guys and hug them and just be with them every day was the hard part for me. And not having pads on it's not ideal, like I said, but like I said, everybody's doing the same thing. When we were in the NFL, it's, pads were not a huge situation once you got through about 4 weeks anyways. So we found ways around that, but just not being able to see those guys for an extended period of time, I think, was the hardest part for me.
We'll get to about 2 more here for Coach Chinander. Mitch Sherman from The Athletic.
Hey, Coach. I had a similar one to what Evan asked about the pad, so I'll just kind of follow up with that. What have you been able to watch, what's happened around college football so far and learn anything at all about how things may work or not work for you guys based on the unusual schedules that other teams have had to navigate through, and then maybe the success or lack of success that they've had as a result of that?
Yeah, without getting into too much detail, I have had an opportunity to watch. First and foremost, I'm a football fan. When Nebraska high school football kicked off, I had 2 games streaming on my TV, so I've been watching games as much as I could, even while we're working. But I've also had the opportunity to talk to some of those coaches that played early, some friends in the business, what they thought that they did wrong, what they thought they did right leading up to those games. Is it live tackling? Is it not live tackling? Is it live up front? Some people just went completely, no contact because they wanted to get to the game healthy and safe and all those types of things. And did that work? No. So I think that once again, Coach Frost has found a good balance for us. But, not being the first ones to play, even though I would have loved to have played a month ago, not being the first ones to play, I think gave us a little bit of advantage to talk to a few people and find out how practices worked. Like I said, what didn't work and what did, and can we find that balance of what's going to work for Nebraska football?
Our last one for Coach here, Parker Gabriel, Lincoln Journal-Star.
Hey, Erik, could you, good to see you. Could you just sort of put into perspective maybe the challenge on the recruiting front for you guys as a staff? I mean, there's a lot of talk about kids not getting the opportunity to go to campuses and all that, but how much different is it to not have been able to get on the road this spring and evaluate and not be able to get out and watch high school games in person this fall?
Yeah, I think that you're asking another question that's got a lot of parts to it. First and foremost, not being able to get out and see guys makes it hard to get early offers out. And we all know anymore, without getting an early offer out to a guy, it's really hard to get to know them because they do have other offers and they want to get to know the places that have offered them scholarships. But without seeing them in person, are they really 6'4", or are they 6'1"? They're advertised as 6'4". I'd love to see them move in person. I'd love to talk to the teachers and the counselors and the lady that works in the lunchroom and all those people to find out what kind of kid that is. And we don't have that opportunity right now. Second part of that is I think Nebraska's the most special place in the world, number one. But until we get kids here, sometimes guys that are here from a long ways away, recruits, they don't understand how special it is until they walk on this campus, until they get off the plane and walk around this city and experience the people first and foremost. So that's a challenge, just not being able to get guys here and see what I see once you're talking about Nebraska football and Lincoln, Nebraska in general. So I think there's a lot of different things there. You're developing relationships via Zoom like we're doing now. You're developing relationships via FaceTime and phone calls and text messages, which is not the same as in person. The evaluation piece, like we mentioned, and then just getting, it's – I would put it like this, like, you're an 18-year-old kid or the 18-year-old kid's parents, they may love school X, but sometimes it's hard to let your child go someplace where you've never met that person, face to face, and you've never been there. So those are the challenges we're working through. And I think our recruiting department, once again, our graphics and media team, everybody that's helping out just with those recruiting things has done an unbelievable job to put us in the best position possible, even though it's not as good as being there in person.
All right. Thank you, Coach. We'll get to a couple of the assistants here.
It's good to see you guys.